Hi there scrappers, today I'm sharing a process video using a cut file from the Silhouette Cameo on my 12x12 layout. I've shared quite a few of these layouts recently, and which you'll see in my layout share on various Facebook groups and things, and I've had a few questions about how I go about using the file. So you can see there I've got a file that I've cut, sort of like a big pinwheel. I think I got this one from the Hip Kit Club members page, I'm pretty sure is where it came from, and I'm just showing you the cut file, which I've set up my Cameo to cut the file to fit nicely on a 12x12 background, and the papers and photo that I've chosen. And the papers are, I think they're all mostly from Amy Tan's Finders Keepers, and a photo that my son took of a flower. He's been practicing taking photos on his iPhone. He's only just turned 14 and he's actually quite a good photographer. So I think the question was more about how you find the paper pieces or how you cut the pieces. I chose this particular pattern of the pinwheel because it's quite a repetitive pattern of the same pieces. They go around the page, and so if you cut the wrong one for the wrong bit, you could swap it around. You'll see what I mean. But if you look at the other cut files I've used previously, quite a bit more delicate and mosaic-like, they're a lot harder to do. So I'll show you quite a few times what I'm doing in the process. This video took me, or the layout took me about 50 minutes, I think, to do. Obviously, it's a bit more fiddly when you're doing cut files, and I've sped it up so the video is about 25 minutes. So the adhesive I use, I just prefer to use my tape runner. And you can see I've got a scrap piece of paper underneath to work on, because the strips of where the cut file is are actually thinner than the tape runner. Now, lots of people use fine line glue. If you have one of those, fantastic. I don't seem to have, in Australia we can't readily get the fine tip glues, and I do have certain glues, and I sometimes do use the glue. In a thinner one I have used glue, but I find that sometimes it buckles and so on. I prefer to use tape runner where I can. So again, I'm just cutting another shape, and I will get to tell you how I do that when I stop talking about other stuff. So what the key thing to do, I find, and look, and everyone probably has their different process, but this is what works for me, is to trace your shape on the back of the pattern paper that you're going to use. And so turn your file, we'll call it your file, but the piece, your 12x12 white piece that's got the file cut on it, turn that over as well. Okay, so this time I was looking at the front, so you can see where you want the piece to go. I turn the cut file piece over, I put it on the back of the pattern paper that I'm going to use, and I trace it with a pencil. It's that easy. When I cut it out, I cut about maybe 1/8 of an inch further round than the pencil mark, so that you can be assured that when you stick it down you've got a little bit of give to hang over. You know, you don't want it sitting right inside. It's got to stick to the back of that, and you can see I'm just sticking that. So before I started the video, I just picked the papers I want to use. I hadn't picked where they want to go, I wanted to put them or anything like that, so I'm doing that in the process as well. I've decided that I want the floral on the larger pieces of the pinwheel and in every second position, and I want a bit of the pink of the pattern paper of the floral showing out. So I realised, I think after I've done this piece, that because I'm cutting to the back, I don't really see what colours I'm using or what I'm going to cut, so I'll end up picking a piece with a bit of pink on it. Excuse me. Okay, so yeah, this is where I'm just marking on the front to get an indication. I want to get some pink flowers in there, so I'm just having to sort of turn it and have a look. So a lot of this is repetitive of just me cutting the shapes, but I just wanted you to have a really good idea. I actually find a smaller piece of paper to work with a lot much easier. So if you've got 6x6 paper pads, they're a really good way to do it. Having said that, some shapes on bigger cut files, you need a 12x12 to actually fit the pattern. Obviously not this one, but another one I've done, you do, because it goes across the page. But yeah, this one you could really get away with just 6x6 paper pads. Okay, and I'm just making sure they're all stuck. The only thing with using the tape runner, and potentially with glue as well, is that you've got adhesive going everywhere and it's sticking to everything, and you just, yeah, got to have a bit of patience to do this. I'm just double checking where I want the photo to sit. If you don't want the photo to take over the whole space and cover the cut file, that would be a bit pointless. So I just keep sort of checking where I want to go, checking the colours I want to use, and I'm just sort of sitting it on another white 12 by 12, just to let me see what what it's going to look like. I haven't decided at this point what I want the cut file to sit on, whether it be pattern paper or another piece of cardstock. I don't decide that till later. But I did at the start of the video, which you wouldn't have seen, is cut down this 12 by 12 piece of paper by about I think 1/4 inch on each side, just so that when I can layer it on something else and have a bit of an edge, because I'd rather that than have just the white background only. So I'm just choosing other colours, other pattern papers, and I find that you'll see I use a pattern paper later with a text print on it. I find generally with cut files, papers that have a repeating pattern, whether they be floral, little lines, dots, any shape but words, work the best, mainly because in this type of cut file where it goes in a circular sort of pattern, you know, and you can't always see if you're tracing from the back as well, your writing, your text could be upside down, sideways. And look, if that doesn't bother you, that's fine, but to me, I don't like that, so I tend to use repeating prints that don't matter. Not even just text, like if it was hearts and they were going sideways, that would annoy me, whereas flowers, it doesn't matter. So yeah, just think about your patterns that you want to use. I think work with the pattern that you want to use the most, the paper that you want to use the most, work with that first, and then base your other pattern papers around that. Then it'll just come together as you go. Try papers as you see me laying them underneath the cut file and thinking, oh, is that okay, is that not, and just go from there. And give yourself only a small selection to start with, and you can always bring extras in, which is what I did. I started with these, 1 or 2 I didn't even use, the grey I didn't use, and I think the ampersand one I didn't, although I love that paper, I didn't use it, it didn't go with that, I felt, and I'll bring in another one later, a pink, the pink text, as you'll see. But yeah, just don't have too much to work with. It can complicate things, although this is a lot busier than I probably would even choose, but you know, it's okay, it's still fairly simple. So I just keep rechecking where that photo is going to go, what I want to bring out in those things. So I'm thinking about filling those spaces that I'm pointing to next, and I think I decide I want something fairly neutral. Oh, okay, I'm going to go with that pattern again. Okay, so I decide that I'll bring that bluey green with the little dashes back in there as well. So I'm tracing them. So I think here I decide to be smart and trace a few at once and cut, and then it ends up being a faux pas because one of them doesn't fit right. So although they're cut, these particular files, I say, is fairly similar each way around, each pattern around. I think sometimes if you cut them all individually, you know that you're fitting that specific spot, because what happened is one of them, you'll see in a minute, doesn't fit quite well. It actually leaves a little bit of a gap, and that may not bother you, and if it was under the photo it wouldn't matter, but it bothered me, so I cut another one, you'll see. And I've left that in because I want you to see that, you know, I'm certainly not perfect either, and I'm certainly, you know, just wing it and have a go, and if it doesn't work, you just fix it. So that's important to see. So you can see my scissors, I tend to have one really large pair to hand and one small pair, so I can just chop into the paper with a big pair and then cut the shape down smaller generally with the smaller pair. Those long scissors, I've been trying to get longer scissors for ages. Adele of Inky Quill mentions them a lot on her videos, and people ask about where to get them, and she said Officeworks here in Australia, and I've been and I can't find them either, but I got that pair from a store in Australia called, it's probably everywhere, but it's called Dazo, and I think it's a Asian like $2 shop, and I managed to get them there for, I think everything's $2.80 there or something, so I got them and they're really good. So it's another place you can get those scissors if you haven't been able to get those. So this is where I'm fixing this, and I'm just sort of winging it by sticking it on the back and trimming off the excess. So it's not an ideal way to do it, but you can, yeah, that can work as well. Tracing is the best way. So I'm just going through and checking where I'm up to. I need one more blue piece, and I think I actually leave that one because the photo is going to go there, so I don't need to stick a piece there. It's just unnecessary for it to be there. Looking for my next colour. Sorry, my nose is running as I'm doing my voiceover, which is really convenient. This is where I'm looking at the pink. I really want to bring more pink in, but I don't want that text to be the wrong way. So I'm just looking for a solution for that now. And grabbed out my Finders Keepers pad, and this is where I think I'll just have another look for perhaps another pink or another pattern that I can bring in. I hope the sound is better on this video. I've had a couple of comments saying that recent videos, unfortunately, the sound was a bit muted. I'm not sure why that is. I either record directly onto my iPhone if I'm doing a voice recording at the time of filming, or I used independent microphone to do a voiceover separately, and I speak directly into that. So I've swapped microphones today, so I'm hoping that that will give you a bit of a better voiceover. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the means to have a really professional setup where I can, you know, have a gamer's or professional microphone. So hopefully this one will be a lot better. And I'm speaking quite loudly and clearly into the microphone. So yeah, let's just see how we go. I was unsure about this particular pattern. It did have the orange and sort of pinky red, which I liked, but the dashes sort of mean that it you know, they're going different ways, the direction, but I got over it. I stuck it on, so I just went with it. My dog's in the room with me, so I'm hoping she doesn't do a big bark while I'm filming. That will be the inevitable, wouldn't it? So still working out what to put where, figuring out, just always double checking, you know, that the spots are, you know, if I want 4 of that particular pattern, that they're across from each other, or you've left a space and then did the next one, and so on. The other beauty of using this tape is, these little tape runners, is that they're quite forgiving, so if you need to move something, you can. So I'm just double checking again, and remembering that that one was the one I left free. And yeah, so that I don't fill that one in. Always double checking. So yeah, as I said, it is a bit repetitive here, I'm sorry, but I hope this gives you a really good idea of what to do. And yeah, and a lot of files, depending on what file you choose, it can be far more complicated. This is quite a simple one, but probably a good one to start with. Anything that's got, as I said, the repetitive pattern is a really good one to start with when you want to try this process, because it leaves it a bit simpler for you. I just keep rechecking that photo, where it's going to go and what I want it to look like. I guess you could not, you know, have the photo there and checking it, but I like to think that I'm bringing the right colours in and it's all sort of cohesive. And I really like this blue, and want to bring that, well, sort of almost a sort of soft purpley blue. And I think that the photo's got a little bit of purple in the flower, so I want to bring that in as well. So I'm just cleaning up my workspace, thinking, oh my gosh, there's papers everywhere. Makes a bit distractive watching the video, and also thinking, well, get them out of my way because it's just clutter. Bringing that purpley blue in, yep, happy with that. So you can see I just cut that piece down quite a bit smaller because I knew that that's all I'm going to need, and it just makes it easier to work with having a smaller piece of paper. So it's all just sort of becoming quite cohesive here and getting stuck down, and it's, you know, starting to really look effective now. Sit down, Pep. Sorry, just talking to my dog. Sit down. Otherwise she'll be at the window barking, so, and any passers by, so we don't want that. tempted to sort of close her out of the area I'm recording from, but she just wants to be with me all the time, and I love her so much, so, you know. So it goes. So I'm just taping down a couple bits at the back that keep popping up. They're only just a little bit bigger than the shape, so I've sticking them down because they're popping up and annoying me. So this is where I decide, if I put a solid piece of this background paper, rather than cutting the 4 individual pieces, I can just stick it to the back and it will sit the one direction and I'll be happy with that. So I'm liking that idea. So yeah, I'm just not cutting those triangles out. I'm just sticking some tape down and sticking a piece over it for those 4 little triangles. You will see it sort of covers over the open spot as well, but it's again going to be behind my photo, so it's not going to matter. Okay, getting that ready to stick down. This paper, I can't remember which collection this is from, sorry, the pink, but I think the font is, or the script is actually on an angle on the page, but I want it to sort of be upright, so I just stick it down in that position so that it looks upright. And move the photo so it's just peeking out. Now I'm looking what background paper I might like to go on the background of all of this. So it doesn't matter if you've got adhesive showing on the back of your shapes on the underside of that white cut file, and it doesn't matter if there's you know, odd bits of paper and whatever, because you're just going to mount it on something else anyway. Well, I always do, and even if I wanted to just keep it white, I would actually use a whole other piece of white cardstock. I quite like those leaves. I can't remember if that's what I went with in the end. I think I did. And look, usually I'd conserve paper and cut out the middle, and but you know, it's a paper pad, it's one-sided, I've got so much paper, and sometimes it's, you know, in this situation I want the whole piece to be backed, so I just do it. I don't stress too much about it, and I go a bit adhesive crazy with my ATG here. When I'm working on a bigger 12x12 surface, I do like to use my ATG, and I do like to use a fair bit of adhesive because I find that it doesn't buckle, it sits nicely. But I stuff up here again and don't leave enough room at the top, more at the bottom. Don't know how that happens. That annoys me, so I trim it down and only leave the tiniest bit of border, which is quite, you know, wasteful because it wastes the entire piece of paper really, because I end up mounting it again. But you know, again, it is what it is, and I could have deleted this from the video, but it's just, you know, I just want to show you, keep it real in the process, that this is how I scrap, and if stuff doesn't work, then just fix it. So it still has an effective little border, it just isn't the full border that I had originally wanted. So I think, oh well, I'll mount it again. I think I pick a piece of black cardstock from my stash, which I'm happy with because it's got some black in the floral print and throughout, and I like that it just sort of brings that black through again. So we'll get some more adhesive and stick it down again with the ATG. ATG is something I ordered online, I think almost a year ago, and I was trying for ages to get one because they're not sold readily in Australia either. I think I actually did get it in Australia from Craft Online or something like that, but I really love it, and it just makes everything so much faster, particularly on 12x12 scrapping. So sticking that down, you can see I've got a little bit of a coloured edge, which you can see in real life a lot better, and the black border. And it's starting to come together. Now I filmed this entire video, as I've mentioned previously, I do that with my iPhone 6 above a wood frame that my husband made me, so it's above my workspace, and I can't see, I have a little remote to turn it on, but I can't see what the camera is doing when I'm filming, unfortunately, without sort of getting up and moving the whole desk and so on. And this video cut out. I finished filming and I grabbed my camera or phone and realised that my phone was dead, turned off. It didn't have enough battery, so what had happened is it stopped filming, just turned itself off. So I was really cross. Fortunately, I was nearly at the end of the layout when that happened, but I did miss a couple of things at the end, which I'll talk about when we get to the end. But I guess I was thankful that it didn't cut out halfway through or something. I'd finished the whole cut file process. Obviously, that's finished here, and finished mounting my photo. It's just the ink and things at the end that I hadn't done. So here I'm just layering my photo, but I don't want to layer it too much because I don't want to take up more of that cut file space and cover that up. So just went with a subtle pink and white background. It was that's a Studio Calico Baxter, I think, or Amelia, might be Amelia. 7 papers it's called, the range. And I wanted a bit pink around the edge, a bit more black because I've got the black background. I wanted to bring the black back in. So you'll see me here when I'm mounting and things, I will use my scissors to cut around the space just to get close, and then I'll use my trimmer. I just can't help myself. I try just cutting it and leaving it and being happy with an imperfect edge, but I just cannot do it. I have to go again with the trimmer and just have a neat edge. I don't know. If it was a intentionally torn edge, that's fine. I can leave it, but being cut edge that's not straight really bothers me, so that's where my OCD comes in. I am sorry, but it is what it is. So I'm just checking, we've got the pink, the black, and a bit of vellum, and I'm happy with that. Getting some foam tape, flicking that everywhere, and just mounting. I find that whenever I use a cut file, I nearly always mount the photo up on foam tape, and I think it's just because I like the look of the dimension it creates. And then your cut file sitting that bit lower and all, in its glory and what it is. I just like that look. So sticking that down, making sure it's from the right position, and happy. So yeah, as I said, it is a lot busier, the pattern pages that I've used that I would normally, but it was more about showing you the process. I'm okay with that. I actually prefer a couple of other cut files layouts that I've done more than this one. And when I used Jen Hadfield's cottage living, the photo of my husband and myself, you'll see that in my layout share. I can't remember what it's called, but it's got a marriage quote on it, and I really like that one. And I did another one of my son walking across a log with an arrow cut file and arrows all over the page, and that's really fun too. I do have another one called Cake, and that was like a sunburst cut file, which I really love, but I was unable to share that because that's just been picked up for publishing, so I'll have to share that at a later date. So I'm just putting a title on. I want to keep it fairly simple, not to detract from the cut file once again, so I picked one of those thickers that says lovely because I'm going to put lovely photo, and the story, as I said, is about my son taking photos. And I just want to capture the fact that he was taking photos and how good he uses it. So I've only got about 2 minutes left of the video. I think it's going to run out very soon. So sticking on those thickers, saying lovely photo, and then I add some journaling, a pen outline with my Sharpie around the whole page, and also some ink, black ink spots. And I think I use a date stamp as well. But you will see some stills at the end of the video to see the finished layout. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like the video if you've enjoyed it. And if you would like to subscribe, I'd love you to. I'm trying to build my subscriber list, and hopefully I think at 500 I'll have a giveaway. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you can leave me some comments and some love, and any questions you have about any of my videos, please let me know, and I'll get back to you in the comments. So once again, thank you for watching. As I say, I'm just watching the timer, and it's going to cut out very shortly. So you can see I'm doing the pen line here. And I just felt it needed that to bring it all together again, like the white space was a little bit sparse, so I just needed to get that line in there again, just to bring it all together. I try not to do on every layout, but it's one of those things that sometimes it's just the finishing touch and I have to do it. So, you can't always help that. So, and I apologise if the lighting isn't perfect for you either, but, again, got to work with what I've got to work with. So here's the stills and be close-ups, so you can see a bit of the detail, and hopefully on the end of the video you'll pick up the complete still, and you'll see the finish. You can see Inspires Me is the rotary stamp I used from October Afternoon. There we go, there's the still. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.